All right, mini lecture 8.1, the evolution of the cabinet from cabinet-led government to White House-led government. For the first 140 years or so, presidents relied heavily on their cabinets as an advisory body for foreign and domestic affairs. And this largely reflected two important factors regarding the nature of the presidency during that period, really up until the 1920s or so. First, presidential cabinets were still fairly modest in size, and presidents well into the 20th century needed conduits for communicating with rival factions within the president's party, as well as the opposition, and also in providing lines of communication to Congress. So, well into the 20th century, the notion of cabinet-led government was the norm. Uh, Events in the 20th century began to significantly alter the relationship between presidents and their cabinets. The Great Depression significantly expanded the overall size of government and led to the creation of the executive office of the president. And that began to give presidents greater capacity to work outside of the framework of the cabinet. More importantly, as the 20th century progressed, expectations placed on the president greatly expanded. And presidents were expected to be seen controlling and in control of events in the world. That meant that presidents couldn't afford to be seen giving too much autonomy to cabinet members. Then came World War II and the creation of the modern foreign policy establishment, including the National Security Council, with its extensive staffing potential. And presidents going forward had not just the incentive to be seen acting independently of their cabinets, but now had the capacity to exercise effective control from the White House of the executive branch of government. So there are naturally advantages and disadvantages to a White House-led administration. On the one hand, the president now has extensive staffing capabilities and can handle a workload that is quite simply beyond the imagination of earlier presidents with their small informal groups of assistants. But on the other hand, presidents, with all these incentives to be seen acting decisively and vigorously, can overreach and behave in ways that exceed the president's constitutional authority. Think Iran-Contra, where Reagan's kind of vaguely worded admonition, sure would like to help those boys, those Contras, suddenly kind of, triggered staff actions that frankly, probably were unconstitutional in nature. So this is something to think about as we look at the structure of the executive branch.